Oh, the things that I have missed! The Black Plague! The Spanish Inquisition! The Brady Bunch reunion! Not to mention this episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Reflux capacitors, fluxing, crew to stations. Scanning for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, 1995. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
Wow, Alice sounds different there.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the pod, Red Ranger Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul the Black Ranger Powers.
Welcome to my nightmare.
Paul J. Power Rangers?
Oh my goodness. Also, for this discussion of the film Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, we welcome back aboard host of the Monster Island Film Vault podcast and Blue Ranger, Nathan Marchand. Hey, Nathan.
You also forgot the Power Trip and Henshin then. I'm kind of representing all of my shows today.
My bad. But I want to let you know that you can represent a new rank because this is your third time on the podcast. Woo-hoo! So you're promoted to being an official part and you have earned the rank of shipman. Do you have any idea what department you would like to serve in?
Research? Do you have a research department?
We need one.
We have historical archives. We have tactics.
Okay, the rest of the historical department's on here already. So
yeah.
It's a good club.
We're flush with history here. But awesome. Welcome back, Nathan. Glad to have you back. And in addition to Nathan, we have back aboard Administrative Officer and Pink Ranger, Ashley Ruiz.
Hi.
And she also are the person who happened to pick this movie for us to review.
I don't know if I should say woohoo or if I should apologize. I guess you'll just have to stay tuned.
Well, you can send her hate mail to Ashley. Anyway, continuing our roll call, we also are glad to have back Historian Officer and Yellow Ranger, Celeste Mora.
Hello.
Hi, Celeste. And finally, we have back serving with Celeste in the ship's archives, Chief Historian and White Ranger, because there's no Green Ranger in this movie, Drew Dodgen.
He used to be the Green Ranger.
But that's not
that. Well, on the show.
Yeah, admittedly, canonicity here is a little awkward. So,
yeah.
But now that you have a quick flyby of who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie?
Sure. The Brady Bunch 35th Anniversary Union Special, Still Brady after all these years, was released September 29th in 2004. It's rated G, and it was on TV Land.
I watched that.
That's great, Paul. But can you talk about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie from 1995?
What? I watched the wrong one again. Hold on. Let me go back.
No.
Like me forgetting something I liked.
All the time.
Oh. Mighty Morphin, and there's no G, it's not morphing, and there's no apostrophe, it's just Morphin. So learn how to spell, kids. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. Is that the right one?
Yes, that is the right one. Thank you.
Yes, you did not talk about 2017.
No.
I was going to say.
Wasn't that just called Power Rangers?
Yes.
It was Saban's Power Rangers.
Yes.
Oh my.
But we don't talk about Turbo.
All right. Going back to June 30th, 1995, when this movie was released, it runs an hour and 35 minutes. And it's rated PG. It was directed by Bryan Singer. What? No,
wait, what?
No, Brian Spicer.
We could have gotten him on the phone.
No phone this time, Brian.
So far.
It was written by John Camps and Arnie Olson, or Arn Olson. I don't know how to say your name, Arnie. And with lead stars being Paul Freeman, Jason David Frank, and Amy Jo Johnson. The music was composed by Graham Revel. Sorry, Graham, I don't know how to say your name either.
Graham?
Maybe. Are you ready for the box office trivia?
Last 2 times I've been here was over Japanese films. You were fumbling those. These are perfectly American. What's going on?
No, Grahame. How do you say that?
Graham.
Nobody's perfect. So.
Graham.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I am ready. Ashley, Drew, Celeste, Nathan, are you guys ready to guess box office?
Yep.
Yes.
Sure.
Awesome. And anyone here live, you're welcome to join in as well. Go for it, Paul.
Okay, Power Rangers, let's do it.
All right. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, was made for about $15 million and earned around $37 million in the box office. Given this fact, how high in the box office do you think it ranks among the movies released theatrically in 1995? And since there are 6 Rangers here, we'll go with the top 60.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Interesting.
Throwing things for a loop.
Let's start with Ashley.
36.
36.
A lot of big movies came out in 95. Another
Yes.
movie actually came out the same month of the same year, and it was Clueless, and that probably did much better than this movie.
What?
Yeah.
You know what else came out that the same month? Batman Forever.
No.
Don't.
And if we're talking same day, that would have been Apollo 13.
Mhm.
Oh.
And if we're talking same minutes, I have no idea. So
And the Judge Dredd.
I am the law.
That is some legitimately tough competition there.
Yeah.
Stiff competition.
Nathan, what's your guess?
46.
46. Celeste.
42.
42, of course.
Someone
Drew?
has to.
Drew.
45.
45.
Oh, Price is Right.
5. I'm just gonna shoot for the moon here and say 10, guys.
Nice.
He's thoroughly disappointed.
Actual retail price is
Price is right.
Let's
Price is
check
right.
with the chat.
Princess Bride has told me to get used to disappointment. So Geek Devotion gets 25. Star Fox gets 30. Bobo also 42. Jacob
my
gets
co-host?
36. Adrian Sev gets 22. And then I don't know what your co-host
Power Trip
guessed.
Pod.
he said 52.
Yeah.
Did he say 52? Okay, I
He
missed
did.
it.
Number 1 in his heart, he says.
My bad. Sorry, I missed it. Power Trip Pod. All right, Paul, where did it end up?
Michael. Just call him Michael.
Well, according to the-numbers.com, it came in at 51. So,
51.
Michael.
Oh, good job, Michael.
Good job. Thank you for those factoids, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we will get into once Alice is located, our target film.
Alert, alert. Approaching target. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
For the first time, the Power Rangers are powerless. And the only way they can fight back is to discover the power of the ninja.
Ninjetti! 8-ball, corner pocket. Let's do it! No, no! Ninja sword! I'm going in! Rockets away!
Power Rangers, the movie, rated PG. Friday at theaters only.
Friday at theaters only, you say? I don't know about... Don't that. We're not looking at that. What that was.
Today's Friday. Does that mean it's going to be in theaters today?
I think so.
Ooh, that
I
would be-
think so.
It would be fun to see this in theaters.
Would it?
Oh,
I would
was.
enjoy it.
And maybe some of us have memory of seeing it in theaters. But
do.
let's talk about more specifically what our memory mind meld synopsis for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie is. Opening credits kick off with a literal bang as the movie title explodes, setting the tone for ridiculousness ahead as the Stepford teenagers jump out of a plane. Meanwhile, construction workers accidentally uncover a stone egg. Belloc from Indiana Jones is now purple and destroys the command center. Power Rangers lose their powers, so I guess they're just Rangers. The non-powered colored misfits are on a mysterious planet that somehow resembles Australia, on a mission to gain new powers with the help of Xena, Warrior Princess knockoff, who turns Adam into a frog. Powered again, the Rangers hop into their Transformers to be a small little purple ooze guy, only winning by cheap kick to the nads.
Australia? Well, gee, Captain Roy, how's it going?
I just
So,
realized Black
my-
Adam is opening today, and we have a Ranger who wears a black costume who is named Adam.
He's a Black Adam, too.
Indeed.
Yeah, he's a
Yes.
Black Adam too.
And unfortunately, Drew, my name's Francisco, so I think
I'm sorry,
that,
it's Roy.
along
It's
with
easy to confuse you with
other
other
elements
people.
of this film are decepted.
But it was Xena, Warrior Princess.
It was a knockoff, but that doesn't. You know what? Based on
Hey,
those memories,
do not besmirch Dulcia. She is a goddess.
As flawed
very
as
cute.
our memories were, what rating did they lead you to predict for My Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, before you rewatched it? Classic, nostalgic, or tragic? Going down the lane again here. Ashley, what was your prediction for this film?
Nostalgic.
But you voted on this. Wouldn't it be classic? Or you nominated this?
No, I nominated it, but I'm so nostalgic over this movie. I remember going to see it in theaters in the summer of 1995 when I was 8. I went with my brother and my mother, and we had the toys from the movie. We were diehard Power Rangers fans, and we were just so excited. And it's always held a interesting place in my heart.
A nostalgic place. Nathan, how about you?
Nostalgic.
Nostalgic as well. Celeste?
I'm gonna say that I was thinking it was gonna be nostalgic because I know that Dallas and his sister have a lot of love for the movie.
Okay, nice. Drew, but you yourself have not seen it, right? Celeste?
No, I had not.
Okay.
All right.
Really?
Drew, how about you?
I assumed it was going to be nostalgic.
Nostalgic as well. Wow. Okay. Paul? And you're also someone who hasn't seen this movie along with me.
No,
yet,
I
right?
saw it. I saw it in the theaters, and I had mixed
my
feelings
bad. Okay.
when I saw it in the theaters. But I haven't seen it in a while, so I predicted nostalgic.
Nostalgic.
Interesting.
I
was 8 when this movie came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't see this in the
10.
theaters. I had stopped, I think, being interested in the Power Rangers. Now, I will say, actually, that might get to a spoiler. Or
So
never
don't
mind.
say.
That gets later in the episode. I'll just say I predicted
spoilers.
tragic.
Of course.
So
you
I'm the
did.
lone gunman here that's predicted tragic. But it'll be interesting to see
you're
if
just
those
being a negative Nancy.
predictions
As
pan
usual.
out. You know what? For all I know, you guys all rated nostalgia, tragic in the end. So don't negative Nancy me. But it'll be interesting to see if those predictions came
I'm
true.
fighting voids.
But first, let's get into the things we liked about My Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. Let's spin a power.
Best 3.
And let's begin. I'm going to go backwards and say, let's start with Paul. What's something you had seen this movie a long time ago?
Yeah.
What's something that you still like today?
I was surprising. I found my sorry, I get tongue-tied because I was surprised how well I liked the fight scenes. It was reminiscent of the Ninja Turtle movies. It had some fun moves in it. Some were over the top and kiddie, but others were like, "Oh, that's cool." It had a fun vibe to it, so I enjoyed that.
Very cool. Would you say that, just as a comparison, and I don't know when the last time you saw Three Ninjas was, but would you say this had better or worse fight than Three Ninjas?
The last time I saw Three Ninjas that I remember was never.
Fine. How about versus Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1990?
Well, some of the moves, I think, I was impressed because, wow, they actually could move a lot better. I guess without those turtle costumes prohibiting that. So some ways it was better. In other ways, it wasn't as good because of the kitty-like sound effects through it.
Okay, I can see
The whooshing and things like that.
The whoosh, whoosh. Like as soon as they move a hand, just whoosh.
Ding dong dong, boing.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Well, that sort of gets into something I liked about the movie, Paul, and I feel like they really captured the campiness from the show. I did grow up watching the first season of the show and really enjoyed it for what it was. And I thought, and seeing things like Rhea Repulsa and her entourage return, for the most part, it wasn't perfect, but yes, we're going to conquer Earth. I thought that was a nice nod, and it was something that would draw in the fans of the show. It wasn't like, we're going to do this completely different thing, so you don't know what Power Rangers even looks like anymore. I liked that element of it.
Yeah.
Let's go to Drew next. What's something you like, Drew?
I liked all of the practical effects. I'm going to specify practical effects.
I was amazed by those dinosaur bones.
Yes. Those were freaking amazing.
The dinosaur bones are amazing, and well, we'll get to that later, I'm sure. But that part has definitely aged better. Drew, I would also include with those effects the costumes. I really like those.
Well, all the costumes, the gatekeepers, that fight.
Who are the
And
gatekeepers?
those are the four stone
rock
guys.
monster?
Yeah, the four stone rock
That's
monster
right.
guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the fights against the Oozmen and even the ones with
The Tengu?
against the Tengu.
The
them
Tengu,
also.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be
Tengu,
specific
not
because Tengas are different
Tengas.
birds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tengas
not
are different birds.
Yeah.
Are there Tengas in this film also?
No, but there are in the show.
Oh, okay.
It's the
But
same
there's
costume.
Well,
doing the tango.
It's weird.
Almost the same costumes.
Okay. So there were sort of the visual presentation and the creatures and things like that. You were like, Drew,
The whole
was
suit, all the suits and everything, along with all the practical effects.
Okay.
I thought that it really made it feel like it was. It gave a little bit. It felt like it was from the show, but it was like more of it.
Okay.
And amped up to 10, if not 11.
So I want to have more of your likes. So let's go to Nathan next.
The first one that I would like to mention would be the remixed theme song in this one.
Yeah.
It's the theme from the show, but it's done like it's played
by different musicians.
Yeah, it's done with an orchestra. I think they're called like the Power Ranger Orchestra.
It's credited as the
like
Power Rangers Orchestra.
Yeah, the Power Rangers Orchestra, but it took something that was done by Ron Wasserman, who I got to interview on the the Power Trip, which was great. And it took that and it made it feel bigger and even more cinematic. And it was so dang good, they recycled it again for about 5 seconds in the 2017 movie. So that should tell you. Yeah. They originally had the composer for the 2017 movie. He had his own rendition of that cue in his soundtrack, but then they decided, let's see what happens if we throw the 1995 movie theme in there, and it worked so well they kept it.
Well,
And my co-host Michael didn't realize it was in there when we covered this movie on the Power Trip back in spring. And I'm not letting him live it down.
Well, and I guess I won't live it down either because I have no recollection of the original theme being in this in any sort of orchestral version. So that went totally by me.
They play it during the morphing sequence.
Yeah, it's
in this
like
movie.
Throughout the movie.
And if you have the Blu-ray, that's what they show that as the menu.
Indeed.
So let's why don't you give me some of you like so I can stop being embarrassed at my misses.
Okay, so hang on. I have my list, and then I went away from my list. Where is my list? Okay, so I really liked the pun that they made with Ivan's name. I thought that was hysterical. Ivan Ooze. I have an ooze.
That's a pun?
Ivan Ooze?
I have an ooze.
Ivan,
and he was selling off the ooze. Am I the only one that caught that? Dallas was
I still don't get it. I have an ooze.
I never thought of it. But
I've an ooze.
I have an ooze.
Right.
What's it say? I have an ooze. Quickly, you say, I have an ooze.
Okay.
You have an ooze? Like what? You have like a wound bleeding or something? What do you mean you have
oozing.
He was peddling ooze to the kids.
Yes,
so
Ivan's ooze.
Ivan's ooze.
Okay.
I was the only one that caught it.
It's okay, Paul. I missed the music. You missed this obvious pun that all of us got, especially Celeste. So,
all right.
I just thought it was witty.
Yeah, no, totally, Celeste.
It is for a child's entity. Absolutely.
Yeah. Was there anything that you liked, Ashley, about the humor, or was it something else that got your?
Well, I
list?
definitely enjoyed the humor. I enjoyed the stunts and action sequences. I loved the practical effects. But in all honesty, I just loved how this movie it perfectly captured the nostalgia of the 90s between the craziness of the skydiving and the outfits that they wore. And there was a scene with rollerblading and even the music throughout the movie. It just, you really felt like you were in the 90s when you're watching this. And thinking back to like, I was 8 when this movie comes out, and I'm like, I feel exactly as I did when I was in theaters. I'm like, this is so awesome.
Aww.
And now it's even more reminiscent of the 90s because it really is a sign of the times. It really captures the time in which it came out. So, yeah.
You had mentioned Clueless before. I'm just curious. Do you feel like this or Clueless captures 90s better?
They both do it in different ways.
Yeah.
Because both of those movies came out in July of 1995. They actually came out a week apart from one another.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw them both when I was 8 in theaters. I like them for different reasons, and I'm nostalgic about both. But I feel like they capture the 90s in different ways.
Okay.
The similarity between them is their music, especially, is a reflection of the 90s.
Yeah, both
very,
is
very
good.
cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Paul! This is Road to El Dorado, but I would like to hear the road to. Let's go to the road to Drew's Classic Maker. What did you love most about? Because we're getting into Classic Makers now. Because there's so many panelists. We're just doing one like Classic Maker. What's your Classic Maker, Drew, for this movie?
Paul Freeman's performance as Ivan Ooze.
Yes,
that guy is just chewing the scenery in every scene he's in, and he's like 9/10 of the reason you should watch this film.
Yes, this is at a time where I feel like within about a 1 year span of time, we had several movies that come out where the main reason you watch is the over-the-top villains that just chew the scenery when the rest of the movie may not work as well. We had this, we had Mortal Kombat, we had Street Fighter. I love some of the things I love most about those movies are the bad guys. Because they are amazing.
Absolutely. Way to steal my Classic Maker, Drew.
My apologies.
It's okay.
That man.
Blame Francisco. He let me go first.
That man, he's a Shakespearean actor, and he is selling every single. He knows he's in something really goofy and cheesy, but it doesn't matter.
And he's playing it as serious as anyone else is. So
he absolutely is.
Yeah, I mean, and the line about the Brady Bunch reunion, he ad-libbed that on set.
I know.
That
We watched behind the scenes on YouTube after we watched the movie, and he got to ad-lib and he got to just make a lot of choices, just actor choices, and it was the director's first movie, so he let Paul Freeman make all of these calls and choices, and I feel like it turned out perfectly because he has such a good performance and he is really fun to watch. And there are long pauses in the movie where he's not in them. Yeah. And it's kind of drags a little bit, but every time he's on screen, you can't help but look at this magnificent purple villain because he is over the top. He's got great dialogue. Yeah. He's witty. He's funny. And oh my goodness.
And he was Bellic in Indiana Jones. So you can't go
exactly. And that's how I was pitching it. When I would talk about this movie, I'd be like, hey, Francisco, did you know that the main villain of this, he was Bellic in Raiders of the Lost Ark? And when he finally saw him, he's like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
and I have to say, I love the fact that he can stand there with Rita and Zed and like go toe to toe with them.
Yeah.
In terms of
he totally sidelines all the rest of the villains.
Yes, he did.
And a fun story. Paul Freeman actually injured himself on set, and they had to rush him to the hospital.
Yes, they did, and he was in the costume.
While he was wearing
the makeup and everything.
That had to have been an experience. Who knows what happened? I don't remember the exact, but yeah, they did take him to the hospital in his.
I think they said he twisted his ankle in the large high heel boots they had to make him wear.
Right, to make him look taller than everyone else.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it was a really bad twist. So.
I will.
Did we see him next fall?
Oh my gosh!
Bye bye.
I will say he is. I thought he was the best actor in the whole movie. He was very believable in his delivery, more so than a lot. I mean, not that other people were bad. It's just that he brought this level up.
He's a different caliber of actor compared to the people who came from TV. Because they were 20-something, maybe late 20 actors, and they had largely done TV. Yeah, early 30s. It's hard to know, but they were from TV. And he is this classically trained Shakespearean actor. He's been honing his craft for decades, and
I've been on stage.
Yeah, they don't hold a torch to him. No. He is on a whole other level compared to
favorite Ivan Ooze line. Go.
I've already said mine because it's what we started the podcast with.
Well, yeah,
that is one of the best ones.
Let's see. The one where at the very end he comes out of the wire and says, "I'm back."
I'm also fond of, where's my autograph book?
Let's see. So
I also like, pretty fancy schmancy. I guess if you invest your money for 60,000 years, you can buy yourself something pretty nice.
I mean, that's just good business.
Yeah.
So Ashley, you said that was your classic maker
Yes.
as well? Okay.
Paul Freeman as Ivan Ooze, his performance just brought this movie to the next level. You couldn't look away, and he was so entertaining. As much as I loved the Power Rangers as a kid, it was one of the first times I was like enchanted by a villain. And I'm like, should I be, he's the bad guy. I shouldn't like him. But he was just a very likable bad guy. He was fun to watch, and he had the best dialogue. I found myself laughing at him more than the things the Rangers said, because all too often they were just really bad.
So you would take his free ooze and give it to your parents?
Oh, no.
What was it? Give it to your parents. Give it to your friends. With Ivan's ooze, fun never ends.
If I'm the only one who got flashbacks to Batman 89 when he did that.
I've never seen Batman 89, but I imagine I would.
You poor deprived child.
I could kind of see that, like, hubba, 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 money, money, money. Where's the Batman?
I got flashbacks to Arnold as Mr. Freeze with the corny lines.
Nice to meet you.
Wow. Well, Paul, what would you say was the least corny thing? In fact, it was your classic maker for this film.
Well, I like me some action, and the beginning scenes. This movie starts off with the skydiving, and then there it goes into the rollerblading, and I thought those scenes were so well done. It's like, okay, let's get into this, and bam, here we go. And I just thought it was great. So that was the best part of the whole movie, was the beginning for me.
and you're an action sports nut. You love or extreme sports nut. You love surfing, skateboarding.
Yeah, I'm gone every weekend. Make an exception here to record this episode for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
He did field research on skydiving over the weekend.
It's amazing.
We appreciate your sacrifice, Paul.
Exactly. Quite the commitment Paul makes for this show.
You're welcome.
Celeste, what thing did you love most about this film?
So while I did love how well Ivan Ooze acted, my classic maker is his makeup. From a technical level, like how they did his makeup in such a drastic comparison to some other things, but we will get into that later, I'm sure. But it was just so well done. Like every time he was on the screen, he commanded attention from his acting, but at the same time, he just looked cool. So like he made you want to look at him by how he was acting, but then also by the makeup. It was just really well done. Like you couldn't even see the latex work for the things.
Took an average of 4 hours to get him into that.
I thought it was 8 hours.
No, it was
8
4
hours the first time when they were doing it the first time. Then after they got it practiced, it was 4 hours.
So for him, it was the slow Morphin time.
No, my God.
You could say for him it was very slow and boring.
True.
Yes.
As someone who has done full face makeup, I would believe it took 4 hours.
Yeah.
But the devil's in the details. It just turned out so well.
It did. It was gorgeous.
I can totally speak for experience. It takes me a good 10 hours every morning to look like this. So
I believe it.
Yeah.
Well done.
Try
so
again.
that explains all the modes. I got it now.
So you're saying you take more time getting ready than I do.
Yeah, that's right. That's about right. Nathan, why don't you get us ready to hear your class maker for this film?
I already told you it's Ivan Ooze. It's
Ivan Ooze as well. Okay,
it's Ivan Ooze. I love Ivan Ooze. Ivan Ooze is the best part of this movie.
All right. Well, let's. I'm going to have you expand on this. Is there any villain, like an over the top, chewing the scenery villain that you like better than Ivan Ooze?
All of them.
Raul Julia's M. Bison in Street Fighter.
Oh,
yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
If you ever cover Street Fighter, call me.
Okay. No, you call us. That's how this works.
But,
okay, awesome. Well, guys, that just leaves me, and I think one of you, it might have been Drew, stole my classic maker right out the gate, and that's all the creatures in this are just so cool. Like, the
practical ones,
Tengu,
all the practical effect creatures in this
are fantastic. I thought the flying guys were cool.
How about that pig henchman?
The pink henchman?
Pig.
The pig,
I thought that was cool too. And though I would prefer the other guys from the show.
Yeah.
I thought he was a fun addition, done well. No, well,
he looked like a giant hand puppet to me.
Fine, Paul, but I'm glad that he was practically done. As opposed to
they made that puppet out of Canadian bacon, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well,
I make no apologies, Chris Cook.
Yes, we're done with all of the likes. Time to get to our dislike. Sorry, guys. There's one more thing I like. I have to get it out. I know it's ridiculous that I can't.
Once again,
I just need to keep track. I need to make that should be my New Year's resolution. I make a commitment to track my likes so this doesn't happen again. But the thing I forgot is
an awfully big word. Are you sure about that?
Geek Devotions. Geek Devotions is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture infused devotional, their podcast Com Talk, and written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. Find all their content at geekdevotions.com.
That's great, Francisco, and I'm so glad that we have Celeste here to help us review from Geek Devotions. But
exactly,
what does Geek Devotions have to do with the like about the Power Rangers, the movie?
Well, it's one of Dallas's favorites.
Yeah, it's one of Dallas's favorites. It's a geeky movie. Lots of people have nostalgia for it. It's like it's clear as day, Paul, why that would be another like.
There are devoted fans, and I think Drew said earlier, like before we even started, that he actually has things that he could make devotions with from this movie. So there you go. There's all your guys.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'll try to remember that for my likes in the future.
Okay, Paul. I'm getting some subterfuge. No, that's not the word.
Another big word that I wouldn't mess with.
Incorrectly used.
To quote one of your favorite movies, Francisco, you keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
I think the word you're looking for. Favorite movie.
Oh, never mind.
Subtext is the word I was going for.
Oh, I assumed you meant mutiny.
You know what, guys? Let's get to trivia. How about that, Paul? Would you be, and everyone else be okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, good. Jeez. Did you all realize that Dulcea's backstory was scripted but cut from the final film? In the script, Dulcea was the sole survivor of an alien race named the Nathadians, and it was her race that created the power of the Ninjetti stored in the Ninjetti Temple. Dulcea also explained she was a member of the Order of the Meladan, a group of young warriors that defeated and imprisoned Ivan Ooze on Earth, and that her friend Zordon was a member of the Order. So that is her backstory. We didn't really hear about it in the movie. My question to you guys...
Maybe they had a hard time getting through it, too.
Yeah, they did.
Wow. My question to you guys is, what physical item from 90s pop culture would you choose to guard if she's guarding the Ninja Temple? Would you choose to guard if guarding it also meant you got to use that item? So anything from 90s pop culture that you couldn't actually use. You can't say, oh, this idea of the bat symbol or something. I mean, it has to be it should be a physical item, like
actual
a car,
artifact,
like a weapon, a car, and something like that. So let's start with Drew.
I'd like the USS Defiant from Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Nice.
Oh my God. Is that the big space station?
No, that's the spaceship that they use when they have to leave the space station.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've never seen Deep Space Nine.
Shuttlecraft.
It was a ship designed to fight the Borg.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
The Borg. And it's only like it's small enough. I think you could probably control it one person. So
yeah,
with enough automation.
Okay, sweet.
Dang, that's a good one.
So let's go to Celeste next.
I would want the penguins from the Batman
3, 2,
movie.
1.
Well, you only get one.
But they are a cohesive unit.
They are a cohesive unit. They're
Wait,
family.
from 3-2-1 Penguins or
No,
the...
from
No,
Batman.
from Batman Returns.
3-2-1 Penguins is 2000s.
Oh, from wait, from Batman Returns, the
Batman
ones with
Returns-
the fireworks on their back.
Not
Batman
just the
Returns came out in the 90s.
Yeah, it did,
It's not. It's the sequel to 89 Batman. I haven't seen either of those.
Wait, I'm still trying to
Again, you're a
understand. You want the
poor-deprived
Penguins
child.
from Batman Returns? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay,
Okay.
that's
Everybody got that? Good. When will the
Oh,
princess
They're
be
actually
married?
real penguins. That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. Okay, but I maintain you can only get one bar. You're their unit, fine. You get them all.
There
You can guard the penguins. I'm not sure what fiendish schemes are going to use them for, Celeste, but all
I was
right.
about to say maybe Penguin's Lair, and then you get all the
I
penguins in it.
just want penguins.
Oh,
they're
you
cute.
just want fun penguins. Okay, that's fair.
All
I
the
want to be Mr. Popper, but that wasn't in the 90s.
That was like the early aughts that came out.
Yeah.
Nathan, what ought you to guard in the 90s?
Oh man, there's so many good ones to pick from. It's hard to come up with one specific one. You know what? I'm going to take a page from Drew's book here, and I'm going to go with the Enterprise E.
Is that the
Barely in the
generation one?
90s. That's the
It was
one from the movies.
97.
Yeah,
Oh.
starting with First Contact.
Oh,
I was
okay.
gonna say,
That's
so that's not the Kelsey Grammer one.
No, he's
No.
not talking about the D, even though I think the D looks prettier.
Hmm.
It
Myself.
is prettier, but that started in the 80s.
Yeah.
all right. All right. Fine.
Because that ship
Two-
is big and it's mean.
two Star Trek ships. Ashley, are you also going to choose a Star Trek ship?
No,
Okay.
because I'm a bigger Star Wars fan
Ah.
than Star Trek. But technically, this movie did come out in '99. Honestly, I would want Anakin Skywalker's pod racer.
Oh,
From there one.
that'd be
Okay.
cool.
There's
Yeah.
one only because I have such nostalgic just for the episode 1 pod racer game.
Yeah.
And that's one of the few good scenes in that abomination of a movie.
My producer Jimmy from NASA would agree.
Oh my God.
So I think if I could use it, I would want to guard that because
Okay.
that seems like, hey, if a 12-year-old could figure out how to pilot one of those things, I would hope that I would eventually figure it out because that thing would be super fun.
Assuming you have force sensitivity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Who knows?
Now this is trivial
Yeah.
question.
Drew, do you doubt her force sensitivity?
No, I'm just saying I don't know one
I was
way or
going to
the
say
other.
the sass is strong with this
Oh,
one.
my
But
God.
does
That
that give me
That will take care of it.
You
That
have
will
a
take
lot
care
of
of it.
competition in this call. I'm just saying.
Oh, man.
Paul, that leaves you. What IM would you pick from the 90s?
Well, I'm such an 80s kid at heart. I want to pick the DeLorean from back.
Well,
to the
yeah,
future.
of course.
No.
That's what I picked too. But
Since
You can't.
why I
That's,
did-
80s.
since this movie came out in 1990, I'm gonna go with Back to the Future 3 and
That was
pick-
89.
And
no,
pick,
wasn't it? It was 90
No, it
or
was
91.
90. It was the late
Was it?
90s.
Yeah.
It was the early 90s.
and
Huh?
it was 1990 because I looked it up, and I'm not gonna pick the car that runs on gas, and who knows how you're gonna get plutonium in that thing. But I'm
True.
gonna pick.
Garbage. It runs on garbage.
I'm gonna pick the train.
Nice.
yes.
That runs on
The-
Steve.
wait,
They
the-
got retrofitted.
The
that-
time traveling
The
train.
retro-
or the-
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
nice.
That's good.
Nice.
That's a good one.
awesome. Well, very, very good, guys. Great,
Yeah.
great job.
Great trivia, Francisco.
Oh, thank you, Paul.
And now that we've all had some trivial fun, let's find out what memories you, our rad rewinders, had about Mighty Morphin.
Power Rangers!
The movie.
James Felix posted a meme about realizing Ivan Ooze was the same actor as the Reverend in Hot Fuzz.
Oh, wow. Michael Adams says, loved it, even though the CGI of the Zords was off.
More on that in a minute.
Oh, come on, guys. Jeez. David Gardner said, the best way to be kissed by the girl. Be sad that you got frog.
There ain't nothing wrong with a frog. That's all I'm saying.
I'm a frog.
Alex Ortiz says, the suites were dope. We finally got clean and polished suits for the big screen. Fight sequences were good as well. The Stone Guardians were really scary, and it was fun to see the creative ways of killing them. The only thing that would have made the movie perfect would have been the original red, black, and yellow Ranger.
Yeah.
I agree. I understand why they left, but still kind of hurts not having them in there.
Yeah. Matthew Cosby said, I have so much nostalgia for that movie. I remember them all skydiving at the beginning.
Yeah. And Drake Tungsten says, I was thinking Weird Al did a song for this movie, but that was just Pokemon, right? He didn't do one for this one too, right?
That's correct.
I think one of you posted that he didn't, or he did.
I posted that he didn't. It was just
Transformers, the movie.
He did that too.
He did do that.
But he did put a song in for Pokemon, the movie.
Oh, nice.
It was Pokemon, which was him reciting all the names of the Pokemon to Polka.
Oh, cool.
Gosh.
Pokemon.
Okay.
Got it.
Nice. Well, thank you all for sharing your memories. And but now it's time to get into things we didn't like about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. So let's spin up our
Worst 3.
Worst 3 things. And we're going to start with Ashley. What thing did you not like? What's one thing you didn't like about this film?
Okay. So I know someone talked about the suits and how it gave them like a polished look. They were things that this movie did that was trying to distinguish from the television series to kind of bring it up to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, sometimes for me, like it felt like they were trying to a little too hard. And I didn't like how the costumes looked, that like vinily look to them. I didn't like how really
Wait, the Power Ranger? Which costumes?
The Power Ranger costumes.
Okay.
I did not. The helmets looked clean and crisp, but I did not like the pleather. They looked like I didn't like the look of that. And honestly, like
Wait,
even
are you talking about their ninja uniforms?
No,
or like
no,
she's talking about
those look good. Yeah,
no,
she's
I
talking
liked,
about the PVC.
I'm talking about the
uniforms from
PVC plastic costumes that they were wearing in the beginning. It looked terrible. And honestly, I understand that they were trying to distinguish from like the spandex that they wore on the show.
Say, would you prefer spandex?
Yes, I actually, the spandex to me looks a lot cleaner, and the leather left something to be desired, and the just bringing everything to the next level, like how Kimberly had like the thunder whip, and how Aisha's helmet had like the high beams, and all this stuff that they were trying to like distinguish and make it look better. It felt like it detracted, and even trying to like give like Goldar a different look in the pig. Like I thought Goldar's costume looked so much better in the original television series.
I agree.
He looked very rubbery and
he did
plasticky, and just the things that they did to try to bring it to the next level, like practical effects aside, the things that they did to bring it to the next level were things that detracted from my experience. And I felt that way even as an 8-year-old. I'm like, I miss their spandex. And I guess the thing that really bothered me was, even though they got like new powers and they had new animals, their outfits were exactly the same. The only thing that changed were the coins. I'm like, they shouldn't have dinosaur helmets. They're different now, dang it.
Yeah, right.
You know
they
what,
never
Ashley?
changed it.
It's not spandex. There. People in the chat wanted me to say it.
It's not spandex.
Whatever, but so I'm curious, Ashley, and anyone else maybe that these costumes rubbed them the wrong way. I was just thinking about it, and thinking back, it's almost like they tried adding all this like almost like SWAT armor or like all this like extra padding to the costumes.
Why is this a problem?
Because I mean, it's like they were trying to walk this line of like making them look muscular and bulky, but it ended up just looking like they were in just very bulky. Not. I just felt like they didn't look good the way they did. I almost would have. Here's my Francisco Fabulous fan.
Right, before, as you're introducing that, I'm just going to rep the people that didn't even notice. Go ahead.
I almost feel like it would have been cool if they did more like, I don't know, accessories or something. Like one of them wore a cool leather jacket. Maybe another one had a cool sash.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is starting to sound like almost like the Ninja Turtles coming out of our shells and the terrible costumes that they wore. So
one of them shot a trench coat.
Do not put terrible costumes on top of them.
Oh my gosh. Am I going to have to play a Rant Master cue for people?
I just need to know how they were doing all of this like flipping and stuff in those suits.
They slowed the footage down and just did it slower.
The stunt doubles, like they were
They
talking.
used high-speed cameras.
Yeah, they
I thought it
did.
was
And
cool.
we watched the behind the scenes, and the stunt double said it was very difficult for them to move. The new costumes were very constrictive.
Yeah.
Unlike the costumes from the television series, they had to exaggerate their movements. And what Drew was saying about the camera is they had to film everything and then speed it up because they were never able really to do it in real time.
I got. Here is what I would have liked to have seen.
Uh-oh.
I would. You might agree with me, Paul.
Doubtful.
We'll see.
Francisco,
After that
do you need a
last
rant
one.
master? I can
No,
play.
I don't think he does.
Not yet.
Let's
You know
hear
what?
it.
He's not at rant mode yet.
Hold on. I need to get someone on a call. Hold on.
Hello?
Hey, Brian?
Yeah.
Brian's here. Oh, good. I'm so glad I could get through to you. All right.
You
Hopefully.
misstyled. It's supposed to be Brian Spicer. Do you
No,
know
no.
him, Brian Singer?
No, he's the guy that replaced me. I was supposed to direct the Power Rangers movie, but this other Brian showed up there before me and took my spot.
Jeez, I hate when that happens. Brian's getting confused for each other. But Brian Singer, this is my question to you. I have this idea, and maybe you would have done this if you were to direct Power Rangers. Would you have?
I don't know if I have time for this. Okay, let's hear it. Go.
Would you have taken the same type of costuming you did for the 2000 X-Men and do that type of costuming, but maybe make it look a little brighter for Power Rangers?
No, I would go darker.
Get out of here, Brian. I'm done talking to you.
Why do you talk to him?
That's a good
I know, it's so
question.
weird.
Stop taking your calls.
I'm surprised he
I
took
mean,
it.
That is actually a better
knows this.
question.
He came on the Monster Island Film Vault to talk about this movie. We got interrupted by Rito Rivolto.
Yeah, that was
Rita's
interesting.
brother.
Yes.
That was
The
interesting.
skeleton guy. He was something else.
Yeah, well, I do the voice for him on Power Rangers, the audio drama. So
Okay.
it was weird. We used to be roommates.
You bonehead, you.
Yeah, snarky bonehead. Yeah.
You're calling me a bonehead now? Gee.
No,
Yes.
I'm calling Nate a bonehead.
Yes, I'm the snarky bonehead. Yes.
Well, why don't you tell us what you were snarky about with this this viewing of the movie, Nathan?
Oh man. Well, I wrote down a few that we could discuss, but I want to talk about Fred the Power Kenny because that kid is
Fred?
pointless.
Oh, is that the one whose dad? He's like, Dad,
Yeah.
don't go over
You
the
could
cliff.
take that kid's whole subplot out, and you wouldn't lose a thing. You know what?
Yeah.
How about they?
No,
you know what they
you-
could have did? They could have cut out Fred and then put in all the bits with Dulcia and Thanos and put those back in, and you would have had a more
lost-
interesting movie.
You would have lost the
Pointless.
kid-splaining to his dad, teaching kids how to tell their dads about oh, listen up, Dad. This is how the pros do it.
Oh,
You'd
my
also
goodness.
knock Bulk and Skull back to only 5 minutes of relevancy in this film.
I mean, what, they were in like 2 scenes?
Yeah, pretty
and I
much.
mean,
Pretty much.
honestly, this kid, way to steal my tragic maker.
Oh no!
Fred.
Wait.
Ahead, but,
Fred the Power Kenny is your tragic maker?
yes.
I have
absolutely.
a question for the fans of the show. Did that actor ever come back as
No.
a Power Ranger?
No.
He never did. I mean, we did get a kid that was a Power Ranger.
say if
We don't
in
talk
later
about
iterations.
Turbo.
If he
No,
had
we don't
shown
talk
up
about
in-
Turbo.
If he had shown up in Turbo, I know we don't talk about it, but if he had, I would have accepted that far better than the kid we actually got.
No,
Probably.
it would have been more
Probably.
believable because he had a connection to
Yeah,
them. But
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, wait. I thought
Except
this
this-
movie was non-canon.
Oh, we'll get to that in a minute,
It is,
Paul.
which is
Okay.
a problem.
We will get to that in a minute, Paul. Give it time.
All right.
All right, but so Frank the kid, you didn't like him.
No,
Fred.
Fred.
Does it really matter at this point?
Yes.
Celeste, what is
I feel sorry
something
for
you
that
didn't
kid
like
actor.
about this film?
Just call him Kenny.
You can't, Kenny.
I was about to say, does that mean that he's going to die all the time?
Exactly.
No, it just
in
means
the
he likes
kaiju
turtles.
fandom, that's what we call all of the annoying kid characters in kaiju
All right,
movies.
Celeste, what makes you die inside about this movie? Go.
Oh, so much.
So dark.
So much. It just. So it's not my tragic maker. So
No,
I
not
can't-
your tragic maker.
Not my
just something you
tragic
don't
maker.
like.
Okay. So one of the things that annoyed me was the line about the Brady Bunch, and then all
Oh.
the off the wall things like that just didn't make sense. Like if
Yeah.
he had been in encapsulated under a building.
Yeah.
For
How
all
would he
these
know
years.
about the Black
He doesn't
Plague and all
get
those other
cable.
things?
Like, how did this happen?
Because he
That's a fair
obviously
Know
point,
about
I
the
guess.
plague.
he obviously
Do you
is,
want
is
me
a
to no
pow-
prize this?
You want
Sorry,
to
what?
what?
No prize.
No prize it? Explain it or rationalize it?
How
He
would
had he had long enough time to read through a history book before he went and met Zordon.
No.
I have a better no prize. I think he was actually aware of what was going on in the
Yes.
outside world while he was
even though
trapped in
he
his
was
purple
imprisoned in that egg underground.
Because he's the
He had
powerful
alien-
magic. Yes.
Okay, yeah, he had
So he
alien
was aware
entered
of
in the
things
egg.
that were
Explains.
going on, but he's stuck in itty bitty living space and he can't do anything.
Yeah, he said he was
Alright.
down there for 6,000 years, but everything that he referenced was from the last like 15 years.
I just said he
That-
was aware
that-
of what was going on.
Hang on. If he was only down there for 6,000 years and Rita was imprisoned in the dumpster 10,000 years ago,
Would they
Not
have
the
ever
same
crossed paths and know
continuity.
about each other?
I'm just saying they never said when Rita did show up in this
Why would
continuity,
they
but
imprison anybody in a dumpster? Why that wouldn't hold anybody?
it's not an actual, not what we think of as a
It's
dumpster,
just
but
a
that's what they
descriptor.
called it.
It's a
Oh.
descriptor for what she was
I haven't
containing.
seen it.
She was in a trash can.
Pretty much, it was a trash can.
Yeah, a trash can on the moon. Is that
It was
right?
a gold.
Yeah, it's on the
It was a
moon.
It's on the moon.
gold-plated trash can with a red ruby handle.
Well,
Because the
you know, I'm
astronauts,
glad that we
opened
are
it?
cleaning
the
things up
astronauts
in
found it.
the moon, but it didn't help
Yeah.
this movie any.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Drew, what didn't help this movie for you?
Okay, so y'all know I am on an animation podcast. and so-
what?
Yeah, believe it or not. And I have seen my fair share of great animation, and I've seen my fair share of animation that's would not be kind to call it garbage, because that would be an insult to garbage.
Yes.
I'm thinking of a specific movie that we just reviewed back in September. But the CGI in this movie
You
is pretty
stole my
close.
tragic maker, Drew. Do
Dun,
you need
dun.
a
Wait,
rant?
there was CGI?
Yes.
Get in line, Nathan.
It was going to be a lot of people's. That's why I didn't put it as mine, but absolutely.
It is the thing. Reason it's not my tragic maker is I will admit they were being ambitious, trying to get as different kind of special effects in here. And honestly, outside of doing actual suitmation, which I wish they had done,
Suitmation. That's
tokusatsu, whatever you want to call it.
no, I just can't remember the name.
Don't
That's
make me get technical.
I've heard it both ways.
He would know.
But outside of doing that, the CG, at least it was the first. So this is the first movie that I think did it this in your face, and it shows because it's not done very well and it doesn't hold up.
Yeah,
So,
even
yeah, I
for the
just
time
wish-
being, I remember seeing it in theaters. The CGI is not good.
no.
Yeah, even as a
looked-
kid, I knew it wasn't good, but it was still, it's like, oh, that looks like it was on a Nintendo 64. Wait a minute, that console's not out yet.
It looked
Terrorists.
worse. It looked worse than it would have on a Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
And honestly, the fact that they made so many things in this movie look good with practical effects.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
And even like the Zord interiors looked so good. They looked good against the
but here-
fake and terribleness of the CGI on the outside.
but here's the thing: as bad as the Zord CGI footage is, it's far worse on all the ooze effects.
Like,
my God.
like
The
Ivan
ooze
when
effect-
he takes over his
Yeah.
what is it called? The
Sportator.
ectomorphicons. Yeah, when he takes over, when he takes over the
Orbitron and Hornator or whatever.
terrible, as bad as the Zords
Oh,
looked, he
yes.
looked so
Those,
much worse.
oh my gosh, the
but the thing
swords in this are ugly. I don't know what is anything on that thing.
Let me just put it this way: as bad as the Zords are, at least I can make out what they at least looked like they were in some form of polish. Like they were close to being done, but maybe not quite finished. None of the ooze effects looked like it was finished. It all looked like it was still the temporary, rendered fast so you could see what it looks like.
Yeah, like the test
effect. It was
effect.
not. It
The
was
test
not.
effect.
Yeah, it looked like
Yeah.
it was the test effect. This was not. It did not look like it should have been the final render for the movie.
Yeah,
Good
so
Lord,
like
Beast Wars looked better than this.
I was going to say, Scorpion Knock and Wasp in there were 10 times better than this.
I was
They
gonna
did.
say, and that was made on a television budget in Canada.
yes, it was. The show Reboot looked better than the
Oh.
CGI.
Yeah,
Well,
I would give you that.
Reboot was a better show in general, but
Also
Agreed.
fair.
Paul, I'm just going to non-segue to you. What's something you didn't like about this film?
I actually like that segue. One of the bad things about this movie is that they made it for kids and not adults. There's too much kid humor, like Celeste was saying that she didn't like Ivan Ooze, like the terrible puns and everything. I get that. It takes you out of the movie. It's like all the cartoon sound effects that don't belong.
Yeah.
It just makes me, again, it goes back to, if you're not going to take this serious as a movie, then I'm not going to take this movie serious, and the movie is worse off for it. They could have made it for kids and adults, but instead they just focused on the kids. You know, with Fred and everything, I agree, like, take him out. That might have been, but I understand you want him as a character so the kids have someone to relate to so they can be in the movie. That's fine. I like having a short round in the show.
He's right. We didn't need that in the show. We didn't need it in the movie.
Yeah.
Paul.
I'm not. I think the movie is worse off for it.
Paul, I don't think Dulcea was for kids.
No,
I don't know. As a
Those
kid,
were
I
for the
sure
dads.
appreciated her.
She was for the dads.
Her costume may have been, but yes.
Let's see. You know what wasn't for the dads? My Tragic Maker, guys. That's what. Let's get to our Tragic Makers.
My.
So I did have two possible ones. One of them was what we already talked about, the CG. Yeah, it's just like so bad. But the one that's really stuck in my craw, and I have.
Do you need a rant master?
No, I maybe you guys can explain why this is. You guys are much more bigger Power Rangers fans. Why could they not bring back the Green Ranger? Why did they turn Tommy into the White Ranger? I want my Dragon Sword.
Good.
Do you?
Too many people talking. Let's go one by one. Explain.
Let's go. Wait. Let's go back to one question at a time. You threw in three things there.
Hang on.
All I can say, Francisco.
If somebody is going to answer this, it should be Nate, because he is on the Power Ranger podcast.
All right.
He is.
All right. This better be good, Nathan. Go.
Well, you do know the Power Rangers is made using footage from Japanese superhero shows, right? Super Sentai.
I thought this was original footage.
This was
original footage, but in the show,
they
I ran out of footage of the Green Ranger, and they were moving on to another show that had different Rangers, including a White Ranger. They wanted to bring Tommy back because he was popular, so they made him the White Ranger because they ran out of Green Ranger footage. And Haim Saban was too cheap to just make new footage all the time with the Green Ranger.
Okay, yeah. You know how you do that? You have the transition, like it's perfect. He starts off green, then they have the whole ninjetti thing, they lose their powers, and now there's only a white one left. So there's no excuse for this. They could have transitioned to a white one.
Francisco, they did this.
My name's not Francisco.
I just say
anything else.
Or Franco.
Francisco. Roy, shut up.
Francisco.
Roy, let me explain this. They did that in season 2.
They did.
Yes.
You just weren't around for it because you outgrew the show. You weren't part of their target demographic.
They did do this in season 2
Okay. Oh, well, good for season 2. That's not the movie, though.
But they were taking
They already did it because that was the current version that Tommy was. They're not going to backtrack.
And Francisco, this is a version of them transitioning from the season 2 powers to the season 3 powers.
Exactly.
So they had to base it on what was happening at the end of season 2 and the beginning of season 3.
Yeah.
And that's why we had the Power Rangers in place. We had Aisha, Rocky, and Adam instead of the original Rangers. They were written out. They went to the UN.
I got it.
Yeah, they went to the UN conference because
no, it's just the never-ending peace conference.
The never-ending peace conference. Yeah. So had you watched the show, it wouldn't have been a surprise for you, but you were outside of that, so it didn't make sense to you.
So let me see
That's
if
not a good enough thing to make your Tragic Maker movie.
Let me see if I understand. I just want to make sure. I legitimately want to make sure if I understand.
Francisco, were you upset when you watched Batman '89 and it didn't star Adam West as Batman?
I didn't really care for Adam West as Batman, so no.
He was Batman in the TV show. Why come he's not Batman in the movie?
That's a great point, Paul. Let's go back and remake that.
Okay, now, Francisco, I will say that when we get to my Tragic Maker, I will be kind of boosting your point.
Okay. But I do want to make sure I understand from everyone because there's a lot there. So season 1, that's the main one I watched, whatever 60 episodes of it was.
Yes.
There's a Green Ranger, Tommy. Tommy's the Green Ranger. He has the Dragon Sword.
Yep.
Then you're saying he goes in. I guess he's still Green Ranger in season 2, but halfway through season 2, he transitions to the White Ranger.
It's about 15 episodes in. He lost his powers early on in season 2.
Yeah,
because they ran out of Green Ranger footage.
And then Tommy was gone for like 10 episodes, and they started hinting that there may be a new Ranger coming up, and then there's this whole episode called I think it's a 2-part episode called White Light, in which they are built. We find out there is a White Ranger coming, and it's revealed at the end of part 1, I believe, that it's Tommy.
This is a lot of minutia I don't need. So
you asked,
when did this movie come out?
After
seasons 2 and 3,
20 episodes after the White Ranger was introduced.
Okay, so there. Okay, then I guess you know what? I will give you this. Geek Devotions, who's in the chat. Yes, my Tragic Maker is invalid, but no, it's not invalid. The Dragon Zord is way better than any Tiger Zord. I'll say that. You can't.
You're not wrong, Francisco. You are not wrong.
We all agree with you there.
We're not disagreeing.
Okay,
we're not disagreeing.
I win. I think I win. I think I win the show. Thank you guys.
You should.
You all agree with me. I win.
You should talk to Dallas. He rode the Dragon Sword to Monster Island once. He had a good time.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right. So I'm done with my Tragic Maker. Let's go to Paul's. What's your Tragic Maker, Paul?
A massive surge of evil energy is overloading our sensors. Ay, 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 ay.
It's already been said, the graphics. I mean, even at the beginning, the logo is pixelated.
It was?
I mean, what?
It was.
If you watch this in HD, it is pixelated.
I thought that was just because I watched it on YouTube.
No.
That was rendered in 480i. I am convinced.
It definitely looked like it. It looked better when it blew up, though.
It's still.
That's fair.
So better destroyed than together.
Yeah, clearly, and it did set the tone for the rest of the movie.
Yes, I'll agree with that.
Okay, so that was your Tragic Maker, Paul. Drew, what did you hate most about this film?
The fact that the movie...
Do you need a rant master?
You know what? Sure, go right ahead.
Rant master activated.
Okay. This movie is assuming that you have watched at least somewhat of the previous 2 seasons of Power Rangers, because it explains nothing to you.
Or you can roll with it like Francisco does.
I would accept this if it had the decency to remain in continuity with the show.
And yet it does not.
They had to make an entire other version of this story in the show to show how they got their ninjetti powers, and with Dudley Do-Right, pretty much. Dudley Do-Right Ninja.
Don't forget
Rito. And Ninja Rito, yes. And Tengu Warriors instead of Tengu Warriors.
Yep.
And just lost my spot. And because it requires you, it doesn't. You can't even assume that Jason, Trini, and Zach have even been in this continuity. You don't even think there probably isn't even Thunder Zords, these season 2 Zords that they were using in the show at this time. Those are probably not even in this continuity. So any continuity you bring from the original show is completely invalid, which is great if you are just coming into it. But the thing is, the only explanation you get is that stupid paragraph at the beginning that the only people who can do that are Star Wars. They're the only people who can get away with that.
Drew, we talked about this. That was there for the parents.
I don't care.
So what you're saying is the continuity of this movie is as valid as Francisco's Tragic Maker.
Sounds like a huge agreement right now.
I am saying that there is no logistical reason other than we have to use the same suits, that they could not have technically used the Green Ranger suit, which in my opinion fits the Zero, which of course it fits the Zero Ranger, the original Mighty Morphin Power Ranger aesthetics better because it was designed for that one, not not taking from the White Ranger from the other series that looks like, they didn't even bother to try and use those suits until, well, we won't talk about Megaforce, but
we don't talk about Megaforce either.
Megaforce, all of it's off the table. Apparently,
we don't talk about a lot of them.
There's a lot of things. But yeah, we did.
If you want to talk about the 1982 Megaforce, that's okay.
Falls under Bruno.
Yeah, exactly, Celeste.
There's a lot of talking for stuff we don't talk about.
I'm just saying that as a child, this confused me. that the fact that there were two different stories that were telling the same thing.
Confusing, yeah.
Why would I? Because here's the thing: I did not not until my rewatch of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers that I started on last year did I actually watch Ninja Quest to see the 2 episodes that this movie. 3 episodes. I'm sorry.
Episodes, yeah.
Sorry, 3 episodes.
What?
No, it was 3.
It's 3.
To my knowledge, there's only been one 5-episode series, and that was Green with Evil.
Green with Evil, yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Is that
Everyone
where Tommy's introduced?
Yes.
Yep.
But
good.
I didn't watch that thing until before, because in all honesty, I thought this movie did a pretty. Actually, I think this movie does a better job of explaining where the Ninjetti powers came from.
And Dulcia is so much better than Ninjord.
Ninjord. That goes without saying.
All the dads agree with you about that.
Oh my gosh.
I will say what I have seen of his Sentai counterpart, I do prefer that to Ninjor.
Ninja Man?
Yes, I do prefer Ninja Man to Ninjor.
How can you hate Ninja?
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I don't like Dudley Do-Right.
Same.
Nathan, I don't like Dudley Do-Right in his own cartoon. Why would I like him in this thing?
So let's check back in, because I want to hear what your tragic maker is, please.
So my tragic maker is the movie.
No, you can't cheat like that.
It was terrible. I was bored. The entire
Slow
thing.
and boring.
The entire
Wow.
movie.
You just broke Dallas's heart, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It was not enjoyable. It might have been more enjoyable had he been watching it with me, because then I would have had somebody who legitimately had a read his comment. I would have had someone who had some stake in the movie, who understood stuff. But I legitimately was falling asleep through most of the movie.
Wow.
So can I ask a question of you, Francisco? Because that was our situation.
Yeah.
He watched it with me, and I'm like, so I wonder if that changed it a little bit for you.
Yes, as I tried to ignore Dallas pulling a sword out of his chest.
Ouch.
Don't
do it. You're supposed to let the medical staff do it.
Oh yeah, well
you'll bleed out, Dallas. Don't do that. Leave the knife
some
there.
training, I'm sure. But
Dallas is a tough boy. He can handle it. He survived on Monster Island by himself for months. So
I think it probably did influence that I got to watch it with you. And also I think there is this element of, Celeste, let me ask you this. Did you watch Power Rangers growing up at all, or no?
No, I did not.
Okay, so I had some sort of basis, and I enjoyed it.
You had a little bit of hope.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, so just the movie.
She just had to take it at face value because she had
that is such a cheat. That's such a cheat.
It's
Morphin disappointed Rangers the movie.
It's what do you call the slammer? It's slow and boring. It's hard to recover from a movie like that.
That's fair.
Admittedly, if you're not enjoying a movie, that will make it very slow and boring, no matter how exciting it is for anyone else.
Yeah, that's true.
Nathan, so this may have not been slow and boring or the worst movie ever for you, but what did you hate most about it? You wish wasn't a part of this movie?
We've already talked about it. The CGI.
CG.
The CGI wrecks it for me, especially when compared to those practical effects. The practical effects are still great. And this CGI, good Lord, this was the Savior's Toy Story, people.
I know, and what a stark contrast.
Savior's Toy Story, and 2 years after Jurassic Park,
Toy Story spent much more time rendering its things, and there's not as much
try to make metal objects,
and there's not as much
real realistic,
and there's not as much CG in Jurassic Park. And I would say the CG in this would look better had they also made CG buildings and not tried to put CG models onto an actual miniature set.
I will say one nice thing about the CGI that I will admit is surprisingly ambitious, even for this era, and that is the reflection of the Scorpatron in the car windshield. That was really ambitious because
yes, it was.
I can't think of. I don't know if anyone else had the guts to try something like that.
You gonna get those bots, Francisco?
There's bots.
Yes, there's lots of bots.
Great.
being raided by the bot.
Edna bot.
Oh my gosh.
Holy moly.
Okay,
I feel like this Edna mode's not your fault.
He's on YouTube.
Edna mode.
He's on YouTube.
More like bot mode.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Who's
Someone's
sending you?
released the
Who's
bots.
raiding you with the bot?
Try reloading the page. What? I have to reload.
I'm like, you don't need love. You're married.
Well,
Because you're married, you don't need love? What?
No, he doesn't need love.
Hold on.
Wow.
Now that I reload the chat, I'm not seeing them. So, like,
Okay.
I know they're there. So, hold. Another window.
Another bot bites the dust.
Another bot bites the dust.
I had
Did
to
that
pause
just enter
them
the
out,
Did someone
so I
just
didn't
get
see it.
undigitized?
I was gonna say.
Did are we in Tron now? Is that what happened? And someone
The
dematerialized?
I didn't. Bobo, you're here. Why are you helping? You're a mod.
I'm a mod, but I don't know how to do anything.
Oh my gosh.
I only know how
I'm
to
not
do
a
it
mod, so I can't say anything.
If everything you're doing is bad.
I
want you to know
mean,
this.
Dallas is saying I think you got them. So.
Oh,
Okay.
really? All right. Maybe. You did. Thank you, that Bobo, the savior of the podcast. Thank you, Bobo.
Thank you, Bobo.
You rock, Bobo. Thank you so much.
We can tell you're not sour tonight.
Wow.
That's our Bobo.
That's right. Let's clap for Bobo, guys. Bobo.
Good job, Bobo.
Good for you. Awesome. Thank you for saving us on the YouTube side. Okay. So
Now, that CGI could have saved that
Right.
movie.
Yeah, Bobo is no. We have 6 Rangers. He's our 7th Ranger.
He's our Alpha 5.
He's Alpha 5.
Yes, exactly.
Yay.
All right. So who?
I had my
so
soundboard.
Nathan
I could
was
play that.
finishing saying the CG. So we're gonna go back and I'm going to kick it to Ashley for final word because I know CG was yours as well, right?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay. All right. So good. We'll end with you for something else. All right, guys. Thank you, Nathan. CG was really not great, especially compared to like you're saying, Toy Story, Jurassic Park. But let's get to our final tragic maker of the night. Ashley, what did you hate most about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie?
Oh, what I hated most about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. This was actually someone's dislike, but I hated the character of Fred so I hate characters that are just there to appeal to the audience. They're just there because they need to fill a spot. And because the movie was created for children, and this was already spoken to earlier, that, there has to be a kid. But what Drew said earlier is the show didn't need a kid because the Power Rangers themselves are teenagers.
Yeah, exactly.
They're characters that children look up to and aspire to be.
Exactly.
You don't need a kid who basically sprays water on a bunch of adults. And basically he's one of the reasons why his father gets infected in the first place, because he brings the ooze home.
Good job, kid.
Honestly, he doesn't add anything to the movie. He's just a token kid.
He does. He adds a question of why are the Power Rangers, or at least Tommy, hanging out with kids half his age? Is there like
that is definitely a
great question.
That is a great question for the end of the movie. Like, how do they?
When the kids are in the show, they do hang out around the Rangers a little too much.
Because they do hang out at Ernie's juice bar, and in the movie it was mentioned like one single time, but it was not a set that they built for the movie.
Yeah, it was. Ernie's bar was there.
Yeah, it was
more
mentioned.
of a pavilion.
Yeah, it was more of a. It was really weird, and I didn't like it.
Oh, at the end when they play some Van Halen.
Yes.
Yeah, it's there, and then when Fred's giving the speech to all the other kids, that is at that Ernie's Pavilion also.
Hey, listen up, guys.
And Ernie's Pavilion is there at the beginning.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, he was a disobedient child because he brought the ooze home, and then the children, they rioted because their parents were working for Ivan, and then like And honestly, I didn't care for him. He wasn't a compelling character. Even as an 8-year-old, this kid was older than I was. And I'm like, this is lame. He's not doing anything. And then he gets everybody onto what were they on? What is that called?
Cocaine?
No, not the drugs. It was what is that
platform.
called?
In this movie or something else?
No, it's the transportation that they were on. I can't remember.
The tram, the monorail.
Yeah, when they were on the monorail. He's like, let's go on the monorail. I'm like, what were they hoping to accomplish by going on the monorail? We didn't know where it went.
Yeah.
And then if
it's
it wasn't,
amazing they know how to drive it.
Yeah, I'm like, where did this kid? Did he just assume I'm an awesome kid because our parents aren't doing anything? I'm gonna be like a Power Ranger and save the day. I'm like, kid, you could have been cut from this movie and we wouldn't have lost anything.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't know. He just felt like so unnecessary in this movie that it just infuriated me, because there's nothing more that I hate in movies than things that don't add to the plot, that are just contrivances.
Yeah.
And you could cut them out and the plot would not be affected whatsoever. So,
but then all the parents would have leaped to their doom.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm joking. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. The kids held them back for a little while. They thought that they fixed them by spraying them with water, but it was only because Ivan went kablooey. And that's why the parents were released from the spell.
Do we want to talk about that?
Had nothing to do with them getting sprayed with water. Oh, we saved our parents by getting them wet.
I mean, really, if Fred wasn't there, they would just riot so the Power Rangers saved the parents in time.
Exactly.
I mean, so,
and because this is a children's movie, it would have been convenient, and that is exactly what would have happened. So see, the kids don't need to be there.
And see, to add on this point, I feel like if it is a kids movie that centers on a property that kids are already into, you don't need an audience surrogate, because kids already get it. I get having like the intro for parents that don't understand, but the kids, they're not gonna relate to the kid.
And he wasn't even a relatable kid. Like he was. I mean, yes, he kind of wasn't every kid, but he wasn't relatable. I mean, I didn't.
Are you sure you really don't like him? Because you have a lot to say about him.
No, I really did not. No.
If I don't mean to, I'm not adding this as a defense, but injecting children into tokusatsu superhero franchises like this goes way back to like the 60s.
Well, maybe
but they're usually just one-off characters and they're done.
They don't try to make them a central figure like this movie did.
There is a reason we call them Kennies.
This is true.
So basically, you want to eject them out.
Yeah. Yeah. So if he was on like one of the Zords, like hit the eject button and just send him off into space so he can get blown up.
What? Wait, whoa.
The Power Rangers would never do that.
Did you just advocate child murder? What?
No,
this podcast got dark.
Just Fred murder. That's all.
I mean, if you call him Kenny's, and we're thinking, if I assume that he's like a Kenny from South Park.
There you go.
No,
so much hatred.
Yeah.
Well, we aren't reviewing South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. We're reviewing My Morphin Power Rangers.
So I can't blame Canada.
And we've all now entered our firing trajectories into the firing computer. Alice, do you have a firing solution for us?
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo at the ready. On your
All right. Get your salvo authority ready, guys.
Lock on and fire! All right, we're taking care of business.
Time for the moment of truth. Do we rate My Morphin Power Rangers the movie a classic? We'd recommend anyone go see this, whether or not they've seen it before. A nostalgic, it's worth seeing if you remember it fondly, but if you've never seen it, don't waste your time. Or a tragic, it's not worth anyone's time. If you've never seen it before, definitely keep it that way. And if you have seen it before, don't sully any good memories you have of it with a rewatch. So let's begin with Ashley. What is your final rating for My Morphin Power Rangers, the movie?
I predicted a nostalgic, and nostalgic it shall stay.
All right, even though Fred's in this.
Fred.
I mean, doesn't Fred, I'll give this an automatic
It's not
F.
a perfect movie.
No, it's not a perfect movie. And just because Fred starts with an F doesn't mean that the movie gets a score of an F.
All right.
I mean, honestly, if it's a nostalgic, then it's probably somewhere around like a C-, D+. It's not the best, it's not the worst, but technically it's still passing. And that's enough for me because I have this wonderful nostalgia from my 8-year-old self going to see this movie in theaters with my family, having the toys that we got for Christmas, and just honestly having a larger than life version of a television series that I loved as a kid.
Awesome.
Plus Ivan Ooze just makes this movie.
Yeah.
He makes up for Fred and the unnecessity that is him.
We'll agree to
We'll
disagree
get to
on
you
that
in a
one.
second, Paul. Nathan, what was your final rating for this film?
I predicted nostalgic, and it is nostalgic.
Nostalgic
It's
also.
not perfect, but I can't deny that I have a good time watching it, even with unnecessary Fred, because Ivan Ooze makes up for quite a bit, and I do enjoy the other characters, even though I don't think they really get all that much time to shine, because this is basically the Ivan Ooze movie featuring the Power Rangers.
You're right.
Yeah, but got a shout out to Jason David Frank, aka Tommy Oliver. He's he's a fellow Christian like all of us here, so can't fault.
Speak for yourself.
Okay.
What kind of non-denomination do you go to?
The non-denominational.
Yeah, very non-denom, but
I know the one with the Green Ranger is better. That's the one.
But no, like I said,
he wasn't better.
We never disagree with you there.
Yeah,
might as well.
But like I said, I still have a good time watching this, but it's not great. And hot take, I think the best Power Rangers movie is the 2017 film.
Well, there we'll have to disagree.
Whoa.
Never seen it, never need to.
Celeste,
wow.
What's your final rating?
I'm gonna keep it as a nostalgic.
What?
Really?
Was your tragic maker and it's nostalgic still?
I did not
Put
like
that sword back into Dallas. Come on.
I did not like it, but
Okay.
I also didn't grow up with it. I didn't watch it, and I don't generally like that style of movie or show from the 90s. I end up checking out. So for me, it's tragic, but I'm rating it as not nostalgic because if you watched it, if you liked it, then you'll probably still like it, even with all the extra things you now notice. If you've never seen it, run far away.
So
wait a minute. I'm very confused here. Also, didn't I listen to a past episode where there was an argument over whether or not you should rate it how you want it, not how other people want it?
Yeah, it goes with depending.
It depends on the person. Some people will rate it how they think other people will see it. Some people will rate it. I tend to try to do it for me, how I will rate it.
That's why everything's tragic.
What are you talking about?
And
Ashley has a
the latest
point.
episode of Francisco Hates Everything.
You should make a podcast called that. I'd listen to
It's called the Retro Rewind podcast.
it already exists.
This isn't the Trolling Francisco podcast, so Celeste.
It's not?
It's not. But that's like the subtitle of this, right?
Not.
Keep it up, Roy.
Yeah, Roy. I thought that's what this was.
Now I'm wondering, some people in the chat are breaking this up. Is this now going to be on the bottom shelf? This might be bottom shelf material now suddenly.
Maybe it should be.
I joined that
Turbo
show.
is bottom shelf material.
Turbo is something
We don't talk about Turbo. Whoa,
No. It's terrible.
Drew, what's your final rating for this film?
My inner 12-year-old is going to kill me, but I'm still, while I did nominate this or I did predict this would be nostalgic, I am keeping it as nostalgic because as much as I enjoy the film, it leaves a lot to be desired as a film. I think if you enjoy Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the show, you will love this film. If you grew up on Power Rangers, you will, except unless your name's Francisco, you will like this movie. So yeah, it's nostalgic.
All right, nostalgic for you. Paul, I forget, Paul, did you watch the Power Rangers at all growing up? I feel like you didn't really.
I saw a few episodes of the first season here and there. I tried to watch, I've maybe seen a total of 10 episodes total back in the day when it first aired.
Okay. But I shouldn't bring up the show. For this movie, what is your final rating?
My rating is going to be tragic.
I was wondering when that one would fall.
I figured that was my prediction for Paul.
I don't hate this movie as much as Rita Repulsa does.
She's giving me a headache.
Yes. I cannot.
Be nice to my sister.
I cannot recommend this to anybody. Like if you're gonna, I'm thinking about watching it, I would say pass. Go watch something else. Go watch Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, totally.
Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles have crossed over.
Yes,
in the TV show. Yeah,
in space
and in the comics.
Yeah,
in space. All right, so that leaves me.
And Venus kept her mouth shut too.
Yeah, we don't talk about Next Mutation.
But you just did.
For me, it's Francisco's turn now. Thank you.
If you say so, Roy.
It's all you, Roy. You got it.
I actually had fun watching this film, and I did grow up really enjoying the first season of Power Rangers. So I would rate this nostalgic. It's not. Wow. There's elements I hate about it, but it's not to the point where. Now, if I was just totally out of it, if I was watching the whole movie and it was just like, oh my gosh, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? And I was actually invested in the story and what was happening and how they were going to do the things they were going to do. And Ivan Ooze was great. So I actually liked it for the most part. So it's certainly not a classic, but I would rate it nostalgic. So according to the Retro Rewind podcast, we rate Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie a disputed nostalgic film. We'd recommend if you enjoyed it growing up, it'd be worth your time today. But if you've never seen it, go watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That is a classic. I will
honestly, this is about how I expected this to turn out.
All right, that's
Me
fair.
too.
Well, now let's get back to our own time. See how that turns out. Good old 20XX.
20XX?
Comsat online. Receiving incoming transmission.
Feels good to be back, but we wouldn't have been able to head back to 1995 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely, a bunch of you are here too. Jared Holzhauer, Deborah Powers, Patrick Hicks, Chris Cowan, Geek Devotions. Oh, you're here. The Untold Podcast, James Kennison, Drew of the Cellcast. Oh, you're here too.
Hey!
Ashley Ruiz. You're also here. Master Dewson, Kennethan, Redeemed Otaku, That's Our Baba, Josh Adams, D. Tungsten, Andy Lewis, Jeff, The Dapper Man Reviews, Tony from the Retro Days, Mr. Loss, Gerald Hafner, Rosie, in addition to 7 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help us keep flying for as low as $1 a month and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support.
We need Dinosaur power now. Good thing we're sponsored by PaulJPowers.com. Bet you're wondering what those lyrics were. Now you know. Now, we also, while we're thanking people, we'd like to give a big power hug to our guests for coming on and supporting us with their thoughts about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. So let's go alphabetically and start with Ashley. Where can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on?
Nothing really going on except for a cross-country move from Colorado to Oregon. But
by the time you listen to this,
you listen, I'll be in Oregon. But you can find me on the social medias, Twitter and Instagram at Ashley Ruiz 1186, where I post about all things pop culture and Christ culture.
Oh, cool. All right, moving on the alphabet, going to Celeste. How can people find you online? Or is there anything cool you got going on?
I have a lot of cool things going on. But most of them you can find at our website at geekdevotions.com. If you want to listen to a book podcast, that'll link you to it. If you want to listen to a bad movie podcast, it'll link you to it. What
if I want to listen to the Retro Rewind podcast?
Well, she said a bad movie podcast.
Wait. Is the podcast about the movies bad, or is the podcast bad?
Yeah.
You know, if you want to know the answer to that, you should go listen to the podcast.
Yeah, come on. But please continue, Celeste. Right now.
We have a lot of things going on, but all of it can be found at geekdevotions.com.
Fantastic.
Cool. Thank you. And moving one letter up the alphabet, we go to Drew from the Cellcast. Thank you for joining us. And how can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on?
Well, like you said, you should go listen to the Cellcast podcast in your favorite podcast catcher, where we review animated movies and TV shows. We have no time, unlike requirement as this show does. But probably by the time this comes out, we'll be in the middle of Studio Ghibli month. Probably talking about a bunch of Miyazaki movies, including certain one involving a cat Doctor Who type character. But anyway,
is it PaulJPowers.com going to be on one of those?
I don't know if that's going to work out now, but we'll see.
Stay tuned to find out. You should listen to the episode anyway.
While time doesn't affect what we review. It does affect when we have time to actually review it.
Good point. Yes.
Yes. But other than that, on that same feed, although it may be moving soon, I am analyzing Kingdom Hearts one little story bit at a time. Nice. Still in the middle of Kingdom Hearts Key, the stupid mobile game that I'm already tired of.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
But that's chronologically where the story starts. So I'm there, and even though Celeste didn't bring it up, we are both on a audio drama called Gospel by Gaslight. I'll be starting on that episode.
Oh.
My episode comes up pretty soon.
Nice.
Is this where they retell like Mark or John in a steampunk setting?
No.
Yes, Francisco.
Yes. Oh, I don't want to listen to that now. That's awesome. Okay, great.
I was where Mark and John had vampires in it, but sure.
Wait, what?
I was about to say, I think somebody's pants are on fire.
Thy pantaloons are ablaze.
Not to mention a giant Cthulhu monster. But anyway.
No,
that sounds interesting, though.
I'm just gonna let all you awesome rewinders know. I have this ongoing thing that I bring up about the name Gospel by Gaslight. I originally, Francisco, your dear captain, thought it was going to be a retelling of one of the Gospels in like a steampunk setting. But alas, is an original story where a character is spreading the gospel in a steampunk setting. So still cool, still interesting. It just wasn't what I was expecting. So,
you're expecting Godspell, except in another area.
That's a good analogy, Paul. Yes.
Yeah. Francisco's fabulous fan fiction.
But I didn't like
Godspell by Gaslight. I mean,
yeah,
that might be worse.
That means, Francisco, that's an area that hasn't been open yet. That's ripe for the taking.
You should do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and let's move on to Nate.
Oh, is Drew done? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm done. Okay. Gospel by Gaslight was the last one. I knew you were going to bring something up. That's why I saved it for last.
Nice. All right, Nate, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you online, and what cool things do you got going on?
What don't I have going on at this point? I am the host and curator of, several podcasts, including the Monster Island Film Vault, a podcast about the I can't even do the shtick right now. A podcast seeking entertainment and enlightenment through tokusatsu. We talk about kaiju films. And I recently recorded an episode with Drew on this very movie that I'm hoping to get out to everybody soon. I am also the host of Henshin Men, which is about the appreciation of Japanese superheroes and their high-flying and high-kicking adventures. We are currently wrapping up our coverage of the original Kamen Rider from 1971. For those of you who are Power Ranger fans, if you remember Masked Rider, I'm sure you don't want to remember Masked Rider. It's part of that franchise.
Is that the same as Kamen Rider?
Yes.
Yes.
Common, but yes.
It's pronounced common.
Show me, guys.
Don't make me.
Next thing you're going to tell me is you call him Cayman Mask.
Cayman,
whatever.
Cayman Mask.
Tuxedo Cayman. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, that Department of Redundancy Department. Anyway, and my co-host Michael would kill me if I didn't mention this. I am also the co-host of the Power Trip, a journey through the Power Rangers franchise. As I mentioned before, we did cover this movie back in spring, and we are currently coming close to the end of our Power Ranger coverage. We go through it season by season. Henshin Men is a couple episodes at a time. Our latest one is Dino Charge. Our next one will be the 2017 movie, and we are currently making our way through Ninja Steel. I already have opinions. And as I also mentioned, I am one of the cast members on Power Rangers, the audio drama. I'll voice Rita's brother. So, give that a
character on the show, I will say.
Yeah. What?
I said the funniest character on the show, I will say.
Yes, he is.
Nice.
And I have fun with I do have fun with that. I'm also a writer, and if you want to check out my writings, go to nathanjsmarchand.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley, Celeste, Drew, and Nathan, for being on the show once again. Thank you, Paul, for being another awesome Ranger / Retro Rewinder, and you all for listening, whether this is your first time listening to this show or you're part of our Rad Rewinder community. We're so thankful that you're a part of it here with us tonight.
Indeed. You're welcome. You could find me, pauljpowers.com, at pauljpowers.com.
And you could find me and on our Discord
as Roy.
No, as Francisco, for show announcements or just to say hi. Join us there at retrorewindpodcast.com/Discord.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box, a curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
And as Zordon just said, we are now part of the Culture Box Media Network. I don't know, some
we
floating
didn't
voice
mention
out
that
there.
he almost died in this movie.
Yeah. We'll find all the shows unpacking truth through story, comedy, and geekery at culturebox.media.
All right, guys, let's get back to the command center.
Yeah, with that, Captain, we are back. Hopefully, Zordon will be okay by the time we get there.
Indeed. Thank you, EXO, and thank you all for listening. We pray you are more joyful today than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, our next episode of the Retro Rewind podcast as we start Wintermas.
Retro Rewind mission complete. Proceed to nav point Omega and return to base.
The world is very lucky to have you, and so am I. May the power protect you, always.
Thanks, Zordon. But we have another job to get to. We got to review Firefly.
That's
Good luck,
right.
Power Rangers.
Ship like this, be with you to the day you die.
Retro.
Because it's a death trap.
The pod of rewind.
Pretty cunning, don't you think?
They were robbed of time, young indeed, made them poor, burnt out on dullness, what was it all for? With Firefly now, what reviews will they find? The hero of time, Retro of Rewind.
We gotta go to the crappy town where I'm a hero.
I just
That's
realized that makes it sound like Indiana Jones, young Indiana Jones was dull.
Exactly, Drew.
Oh.
Well, welcome to another.
You're quickly running out of Firefly episodes.
Yes, welcome to another review of Firefly, where we're going episode by episode through the season on our lead up to covering the movie Serenity for our Christmas episode. Paul, what was the episode we covered today?
All right, this is episode 12, titled The Message. That was the second episode that was created but not originally aired with the other episodes because the show got canceled. But it first aired in the UK in July 28th, 2003. All right, Captain, do you have a one-sentence synopsis of this episode?
Yes, an old army buddy of Mal and Zoe pretends to be dead to get them to get Mal and Zoe to ship him to his home. He's actually alive, was faking to be dead because he stole some body parts in himself.
4 sentences, but
what is he talking about? That wasn't 4. That was all one breath.
That was a lot of semicolons.
Done a better job than that.
Yeah, he William Faulknered that. Yeah,
he did.
All right, well, whatever, Paul.
Francisco, abuser of semicolons.
King of
you know what?
Sentence.
And Tracy, the character in this episode, abused Zoe and Mal's friendship. So let's get into the things, but we're not talking about the things we didn't like about this. Yeah. Let's talk about one thing we liked about this episode of Firefly. I'm going to start with Drew this time.
Okay.
And you've seen Firefly before, right, Drew?
I've seen 3 other episodes of Firefly.
Okay.
And I have watched Serenity.
Okay.
So I just have gotten behind on rewatching Firefly in its entirety.
You have no excuse.
No, really, I don't. I really have no excuse. But the one thing I did like about this was the fact that the jump scare about halfway through this when he was on and all of a sudden alive, because I literally thought, okay, yeah, they're going to have to dig him open, and there's going to be some, I don't know, ticking time bomb in the middle of him, and all of a sudden, oh, he's alive still. Oh, yeah. That changes everything about what's going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
But yeah, I did not see that particular thing coming.
Oh,
So I
okay,
appreciate
cool.
it. I really did appreciate that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I really thought it was going somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's very similar to mine. I wrote the story as a whole. There were a lot of twists and turns, and I enjoyed the journey. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. Was it? Do you feel like, Paul, the character, like seeing this new character? Oh, here's a. Actually, never mind. So
Yeah.
you like the journey of this episode? That was your favorite thing about it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Ashley, what was your favorite thing about this episode?
Call it silly, but my favorite thing about this episode was Jane's hat.
Yes.
It was my absolute favorite part about the hat. The fact that he wore it, and he wore it with pride because he loves his mom.
Yeah.
And just hearing him read that letter, and just, it was so sweet that they're still in contact with one another. And he loves his mama so much that he wore that hat, even though other people didn't think it was great. It was my favorite part.
Yes.
You look like an idiot in that hat.
And
whatever. Let's go to Nathan next. What's something you really liked?
Drew kind of beat me to it. I did enjoy the big twist in the middle there. Now, the funny thing is, I've seen Firefly before. And the movie as well, but it's been a while since I've seen all of it in its entirety. So I actually didn't remember a lot of this episode. Yeah. So, but for something in me when I saw it, just said, and I don't know if it's just the writer in me or my genre savvy or whatever, but I'm like, that guy's not dead.
Interesting.
The twist will be that guy's not dead, but maybe it's memories of seeing this before coming back.
Yeah.
I was just like, but how are we gonna do that? Because they're working really hard to make this guy look dead.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I've watched a lot of Star Trek where they did have to get something out of a guy. So,
oh yeah,
that's fair.
So that's why I
now,
assumed.
if they had done that where there was something in there, but the thing is, I'm like, that's the obvious thing to do. This is Joss Whedon. It's Firefly. They're not going to go with the obvious thing of them smuggling stuff inside him, which ended up being true anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you kind of got both. He was smuggling stuff and he was still alive.
Because to some degree, at some point, the most obvious thing does become the thing you don't think he's going to do. So that's the perfect time to do the obvious thing.
Hidden in plain sight, I suppose.
Just assume the obvious, and you have a pretty good chance of being right with John Whedon.
Or just expect the unexpected.
I don't know how you can
covered all the bases. I should say. What was that, Nathan?
I was just saying, I don't know how you can expect the unexpected, because if you expect it,
then
if you expect the unexpected, it's expected.
Right.
It's an oxymoron and it doesn't work.
This is a philosophy class, so that's why you give us your favorite thing.
It's a paradox, and yes, that does mean there's two ducks somewhere.
I said Celeste, not Drew.
I would believe there would be ducks on that ship.
There probably are ducks on that ship.
A lot of paraducks.
I think that my favorite.
Some people
thing,
juggle geese.
Sorry, Celeste.
Sorry.
Wrong episode, Nate.
I know, but I had to throw it in there. Sorry.
Geese juggling. No. I think my favorite thing is I have a hard time with any favorite thing for Firefly because I love Firefly.
I know.
I've said that before, but if for this particular episode, the line in the very beginning where Zoe goes, "Little one," the whole point is to not let him know where you are, and then Mal comes through, "I'm over here."
Yeah.
Right. There are other thoughts to that.
Yeah, there are other schools of thought.
Other schools of thought. It's just it's a really good example of the show as a whole. That type of humor and going back and forth.
Right.
And the contrast between those two characters.
Yes.
Yeah. I forgot how good the dialogue is in this. How it's very snappy and witty, and it sounds like everybody sounds like a hick in this. Because that's the whole point. This is a space western in almost the most literal of senses. Basically, you could make this the Wild West and just say the war was the Civil War, and you would have very similar stories, I think. Which is the beauty of this show.
Yeah.
I especially like that line at the beginning. Why would you order a dead guy?
Did we get anything fun?
No, I thought he was like, "Oh, that's creepy" or something, and it's like, And then it's like, oh, then there's something in the tank or something where at the beginning there, Wash is great.
Oh, oh, it's grotesque. Oh, and there's something in a jar.
Yes.
That is fun.
What was her line about the cow?
Oh, the Chinese line?
No. She was saying something like, "Oh, it's just you, me, and something about Bessie."
Yeah. Because then she says something in Chinese, and I looked it up, and she says in Chinese, said, "Why don't you tell the cow how pretty his eyes are?"
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
I thought they generally use the Chinese for profanity that they can't say in English.
Generally, yes. Half the time, yeah.
If you go and look up, there used to be a website that you could go and go by episode and scene as to when they said Chinese, and it would tell you what it meant.
Oh, that's cool.
And there's
it's filthy.
Some very interesting things.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's in like the Firefly wiki or something.
Probably. I don't think Wiki was around when I was originally watching Firefly and doing this. But
sorry, the Firefly GeoCities page.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, God only knows where
They
I
shelled
actually
out the
went.
big bucks to register their own domain. They took it seriously, guys.
Yeah, super stereo. Anyway, something I liked about this episode. Oh, hey, it's my turn. I really like the sort of like, I don't know if it'd be an ethical conundrum or moral conundrum, but Tracy says to Mal, "You shot me. You actually shot me." Or killed me. I forget if he says killed me or shot me, but
shot me.
But then Mal says, no, I think he says, "I didn't kill you, kid. I just held the bullet for a while." And there's
okay. You're talking about later. Yeah.
Like
Setup
if
and
Tracy
payoff.
hadn't done the things he did, Mal wouldn't have been the one that shot him. Yeah, was that bullet that he had? I mean, there's sort of an idea of predestination and free will all in that. So I thought that was interesting.
But it also harkened back to earlier.
Me. Thank you, Geek Devotions. That's what it was.
Earlier in the show, when Mal said, "Everybody has a bullet with their name on it. The goal is just or the trick is just to die of old age before it finds you."
Yeah.
So it was kind of referencing that, which was a nice little loop.
Yeah, it seeded it for sure.
That was a
Absolutely.
nice callback for sure.
That's like saying everyone's going to die of cancer unless you die before it.
Although personally, my favorite callback in it, if you're talking about circles, was the thing that the old saying that the kid brought up in the message, and then they completed at the end.
Yeah,
if you can't run, crawl. If you can't crawl, and he originally just says, "Well, you know the rest," and then we get the rest later, which is have someone carry you, and then that
might be a Geek Devotions on that one.
What? Look, like already made?
Oh
Or
yeah,
coming
like
up?
that was one
Okay.
of the first ones we did.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
So check it out, folks.
No, don't. Our sound
check
is
it out,
improved.
folks.
Our sound has improved so much.
Well,
since then.
just ADR it, Celeste. Come on. Because you have time. You have time for that, right?
Celeste, we're all podcasters here. We all hate hearing our early episodes.
Well, we also were using a camera called the Noisy Cricket, which was a Sony Handycam.
Oh wow!
So
I was thinking Men in Black.
Yeah.
That's probably where the name came from.
I mean, that might be where the reference is from, but it was like this Sony Handycam and then a mic hooked up to a phone. So,
well, that sounds like it's a terrible thing. Speaking of terrible things, let's talk about what we didn't like about this episode of Firefly. I'm going to start with Nathan this time.
I feel like I'm just repeating myself from the main part of the episode. Although, in its defense, it's aged better than Power Rangers the movie. I forgot how dated the CGI looked. It looks a little bit computer gamey, and
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
it's a little disappointing. Admittedly, like I said, the other thing we talked about tonight was worse, but
admittedly, this episode came out about 10 years before really TV budget CG looked good.
Yeah.
And Francisco, don't worry.
I think at this point, Star Trek was, or did they move to CGI for at this point?
Voyager was CGI by this point, and Enterprise was fully CGI.
I know later was.
DS9 only had some of it ships for CGI, but the station was
still a model.
Model all the way until the last episode.
Right.
Don't worry,
And Babylon
Francisco,
5.
It's only a model.
Yeah, it's only a model. Yeah. But Babylon 5 was entirely CGI at this point, and it was a big pioneer for that for television.
And it looks worse than this.
It does.
And if the special effects are the worst thing about this episode, then that's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
I will admit, I had a hard time coming up with things I didn't like about this because it's Firefly. And you have to nitpick.
Now I know Ashley though isn't like a huge Firefly fan, so I'm curious what something you didn't like about this, because maybe you didn't have to nitpick as much.
I really didn't have to nitpick. It was the character of Tracy was just absolutely deplorable.
I liked him.
No,
I thought it was.
No, I did not like him.
Why not? Yeah.
Okay, I didn't like him because the fact that he called his two former friends saps, that he knew that they would be the ones to come and take care of it. And the fact that in his ploy to get them to have his end result, he played them for suckers, and he knew that they would come.
He's not a great guy, but that's his intelligence level.
I acknowledge my mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
I acknowledge my mistakes and like survive a war, but I couldn't live in the real world. And it's like, well, it ended up being true. Everything you said in that little diatribe of yours proved to be true. And they did end up having to do it because you're a terrible human being, and you realized how good these people were at the very last minute, and realized like you're in too deep, and you made the final mistake, and now you paid for it. Well, you dug your own grave, dude.
That's how they wrote it.
Wow.
I know. And it was done well because you're not supposed to really like him.
Okay,
then. And I didn't. I absolutely abhorred him, and this whole episode was a little hard to
your
watch.
dislike is
hold on. If that was the point, if you are not supposed to like this guy, and that's the point of the story, why are you counting it against it?
Well, because
I hate Ivan Ooze because he's evil.
But if it makes it hard to watch just because this character is grating on you, then I can see that.
Yeah, and he did grate on me because I mean, you're rooting for all of the main characters, and to see them be treated so badly by someone they did regard as a friend.
Yeah,
betrayal is a huge thing for me, and to see it play out in pop culture, and I mean, it was done well. I will say like it was done well, but I don't like any storylines that involve betrayal and people manipulating other people.
You're sensitive
and
to the
it was done well, but it turned me off of this episode. So it was really hard for me to watch.
Yeah,
because
thank you for explaining that. That makes sense.
Because this character was just icky.
That's fair.
He left a bad taste in my mouth.
Well, you're not supposed to taste the characters.
Oh my gosh.
It's not like I went around licking it.
This isn't Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
No, it's not. There were no snozberries. I was sad.
Drew, what's something you didn't like about this episode?
So, admittedly, I've watched so little Firefly that I just had to double check character names, so forgive me for that.
No worries.
But when I first plugged this in, having only a vague remembrance of who all the characters were, the character that was the least memorable for me from the beginning, I wasn't sure if that was him. No, River's brother, Simon.
Yeah.
I saw him. I thought, is that River's brother? I can't tell. In that first scene there with the alien cow thing, I thought, is that River's brother? I don't know who this character is.
Wait.
I was confused for a little.
Wait, you thought the cow thing was River's brother? What?
No, I did not think the cow. Well, anyway. I didn't like his character in this because I realized what I've liked about his character in the episodes I have seen, because they're still early on. He's still very protective of River in those first couple episodes I saw, and I'm sure he's protective all the way through the series. But in this episode, River had almost nothing to do in this episode except lay on the casket.
I was going to say except lie on dead people, but
but I just heard, I don't like you in this scene. Surely you're someone who's just, hitting on Kaylee, and you'll be gone before the end of this, before the credits show up. And no, he's throughout the whole thing. It's like, this guy is River's brother. Okay. Why does he not look like the character in the opening sequence? Because he really doesn't. Not to me. It's almost like he had a. It's like he had a haircut, or he got tall and had a growth spurt. I don't know.
Well, he's not the 7-year-old played by
Zac Efron.
Zac Efron, yeah.
He changed clothes.
Oh, and he's on the planet, not a ship. So
I'm just saying when he showed up, I thought surely this guy wasn't coming. I was already confused about the character.
We get it, Drew. Every white guy looks the same. We understand.
Wow. Yes. In fact, I'm having such a hard time keeping all you people separate, including myself.
Oh my gosh. So
no, I just didn't recognize him, and I really thought, surely this guy's going to leave any minute now. Nope.
Of course, and don't call me Shirley.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, I didn't remember him from Serenity, so.
Shirley, I mean, Celeste, what was the thing you did like your tragic making for this episode?
I always have a hard time with these for Firefly because I love Firefly in its entirety.
Sure, yeah.
So I guess maybe I could have used more Inara in this episode because I do love her.
She was very limited, yeah.
And I feel like that she could have added a lot more. Like had she been on the bridge when the guy got shot, because she does have a sisterly relationship with Kaylee.
Yeah.
I was expecting her to be there to be like, hey, it's okay. Let's go over here. Let's talk.
Yeah.
She's done that before in episodes. So the fact that she wasn't more present.
That's a good point. And on the whole, the show does a good job of covering all the characters on each episode, at least in some. But yeah, this I could agree with that. Yeah. I only remember one line of hers. Is this a warning of some kind? That's it. All right, that's totally fair. For me, the thing I didn't care for in this episode was okay, wow, guys. I can't take a second here to get my thoughts to
slow and boring.
Oh my gosh. Take any longer and it'll be an Edna mode.
I honestly don't know if there was something I disliked about that. I mean, everything you guys mentioned.
Do you want to borrow one of mine? I wrote down a couple.
Oh
yeah, I have a few.
Yeah.
I know actually the thing I dislike about this one I have it now. I thoroughly enjoy the episodes where like trash. Or
did you say this episode was trash?
Let me finish my statement. The other episodes entitled trash, entitled the train job, entitled area, where there's a heist there. Everyone has a job. Everyone's doing a role to get the thing done. I like those episodes so much. This is more sort of like, I loved hearing about seeing more of Zoe and Mal's backstory, but I felt like that sort of is not I wish they would have burnt, since they had so few episodes, I wish they wanted to burnt a possible thrilling episode on one of these types of backstory episodes.
They didn't know they were going to get canceled.
I'm sure they did at this point. I think they did. Yes.
No,
not when they shot it.
If they knew they were going to get canceled, they wouldn't have filmed it to save money.
Yeah. Whatever, guys. Don't give me your logic. Okay, but that's the thing that I didn't like. Is I would have preferred
that's like
more.
Your catchphrase for the show in general.
Paul, what do you like about this episode?
What I didn't like is, even though she's not perfect, I like the character of Kaylee. Kaylee's name, right?
Yeah, Kaylee, yes.
But I don't like her. Basically, they're settling her with the Dr. Simon. Like at the end of the episode, they're holding hands during the funeral thing. I don't like seeing her with somebody she's frustrated with.
I feel like you've mentioned this before in past episodes.
Well, maybe it's a theme that they're continuing that I don't like. No, all right, nobody's perfect. You're always going to be frustrated with the person you like at some point.
Gonna say,
but it's sad to see that, like her struggle through that.
I mean,
I feel like she deserves better. But that's
but Paul, come on, you should know you get frustrated with Francisco all the time.
Yeah,
never.
He never calls me back,
and I get frustrated with Michael all the time. So I understand.
Strangely enough,
Drew probably gets frustrated with Jacob.
Actually, I was just about to say, strangely enough, I rarely get frustrated with Jacob.
Oh, okay.
Look, just because we hold hands at funerals.
I also know Jacob's listening.
And Celeste, I mean, it basically stabbed poor Dallas in the heart today. So
that
she's
was
probably a little
completely
frustrated.
unrelated.
Because Dallas is as durable as this guy after he got shot. Good Lord, he was running around like the bullet wound barely.
All right, fine. You don't like that dislike. How about the way they treated Book in this episode? It was like, oh, you can't carry the casket. We got this. Fine. He's always in the scenes, like on the side, like kind of in the way almost. I felt like they didn't know what to do with him.
He had a pretty good ending in this. I thought. He's the one who
to the
told those guys
fine,
off.
but throughout the whole show, it seemed like he was just kind of in the way, like either whether it was on the bridge or just. That's the way it felt.
I got the sense that he was the one figuring out what to do by then. Like he's putting the pieces together. This guy hasn't contacted the feds. He has the sense that
almost anybody could figure that out.
No, I couldn't.
Yeah, but if you know Book's backstory, you understand why he knows what he knows.
I've never read any of the comics about him or anything. I just sort of have hints of what it is.
What is it called? The Shepherd's Tale?
That sounds
Read that. That explains it.
Okay.
Book is a scary man. Let me tell you. He needed to find Jesus because he was a scary man.
Based on this episode of Firefly, would you continue watching it? Let's go real quick. Paul, yes or no?
I thought the story with the old military guy was endearing, so I would.
So let's try this again. Yes or no? If you would continue watching,
I would. That was a positive affirmation here.
Yeah, it's okay. Celeste?
Yes.
Nathan?
Not just yes, heck yes.
Let's try this again. Nathan? No, okay.
Yes.
Drew?
Yes, I would.
Ashley?
Sure.
I don't know if that means Ashley likes the show or not. It almost sounds like she has resigned herself to watching the show.
I've actually seen it from start to finish, but I did it backwards. I started with Serenity and then discovered that there was a show, and I watched it all the way through.
Well, that's how it happened to me.
Yeah, that happened to me, and it's fine.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you, Fox, for not doing a good job of advertising this show.
It's just fine.
That's Back to the Future 3.
It's a Western.
What do you Western?
For me, this is this one, and there's another. This one's the episode Safe. This episode and Objects in Space. The very last episode are the 3 episodes I dislike the most. This one's just sort of a meh episode for me. Objects in Space is my least favorite, and then Safe I like things about. It's like the top of those 3. So I think by this point, if I'd watched the whole series, I'd be invested enough to continue. But if I just caught this one on TV, I doubt I probably would keep watching. But according to the Retro Rewind podcast, it sounds like we would continue. We would suggest continuing to watch Firefly if you only watch this one. But thank you all so much for listening to our reviews of these episodes. And thank you so much, Nathan, Celeste, Drew, Ashley, Paul, and for myself. We all bid you good night and stay shiny. Or not good night, just stay shiny.
And good night. Do you have anything to add, Kaylee?
Don't let the space bugs fight.